code says conditional use permits. There is adequate provision for the protection of health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants and workers of the surrounding area. I guess I wasn't aware of who the current contractor is.
For gravel crushing?
Yeah.
Yeah, current one's Fisher. And
when I talked to him yesterday, he wasn't aware this was in a restricted area with aronite being found positive in that area. He wasn't told that. It wasn't explained to him. I have this letter, April 2nd, from the North Dakota Environmental Quality. Again, they tell you, don't use it. You are restricted. Okay. Then I have a letter in 2014 because it seems like this keeps coming up. This keeps coming up. They have specifically put the location, this exact location, and said, this is restricted. This is a restricted area. Don't use it. And then I have a letter from a daughter of one of the close inhabitants, and she has a degree in environmental science. Again, she tells you what the health issues are here. So if you choose to open this pit, you're going to be exposing all 7 families who will be breathing this in day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as long as it's operational, which is frighteningly hazardous. And not only for these families, but the statistics say any place you put this gravel, any place you use this gravel, any place you haul this gravel is very dangerous. So, and I have, do any of you have any questions? Can you tell me this isn't true? I see Mr. Bang is here. Would he like to comment?
Yeah, road crews. They provide a service to this county, which is used by farmers and ranchers to get product to market, oil industry to do everything that they're doing to bring all the revenue to this county, ambulances, mail carriers, school buses, and anyone else that wants to use these roads. These roads do need to have gravel if they are going to be kept in the shape that they are. Gravel is a God-given natural resource that we've been using for years. My 75 years, I'm exposed to 6 generations. My great-grandparents, my grandparents, my parents, my generation, and my kids and grandkids. All those years, when the land was first broke up, it was the same kind of ground. Our ancestors broke it up. They built roads. They gravelled those roads. Dust was blowing everywhere. They set up on open tractors. We trailed cattle into headwinds swallowed all that dust. I can remember one case. My uncle Dale Bang died probably a little bit prematurely because of lung cancer. He was in World War II. He was on a ship that got hit by a bomb. Asbestos was everywhere in that ship. He came back out of the service. He farmed. He smoked cigarettes. And he would go into a grain bin without any kind of protection on his face and shovel grain. Well, he lived to be late 60s, early 70s. I cannot think of any other old-timers or whatever who swallowed all of this dust and dirt when they were farming or doing anything else. They all lived to be life expectancy or beyond. So I cannot see a history of this being any concern. I know there are some issues in Lindsay's family on the little girl. We all love this little girl. Whenever I see her or she sees me, she comes up and gives me a hug. I hug her back. But I want you to know this. If my son and his wife, Carol, or me, or I, thought that there was going to be anybody that would have any problem with well-being, we would be the first to recommend that this be called off. But there's too many other things that are important also. Roads. We need the gravel. It's a natural resource. And another thing that's really going to be in question here is property rights. Our property rights are in jeopardy all the time. They want to take our property rights away from us. Commissioners, you have a big decision to make here for the future of our county. Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to come up and speak quick.
Can I speak? Let me talk first. Yep. Okay, so aeronite is perfectly harmless until it's disturbed. Nobody mined those mountains. Nobody mined that gravel until Fisher Sand and Gravel opened up that pit on the mountain. That wasn't that long before 2006, because Russell Murphy was the state, not Russell, Ed Murphy was a state environmental science that came out and checked that pit. And that pit was probably in operation maybe 6 years. That gravel was not used. My husband was in that business. That gravel was not used until Fisher Sand and Gravel opened up the mine on the mountain. Like they say, maybe 6 years. Maybe 6 years. Aeronite is perfectly safe until it's disturbed, until you grind it up, until it's in the air, until the fibers get in your lungs. Then it is deadly. Explain why? I don't know, but that's how it is. They shut that mine down. They shut that mine down and they condemned it, okay? So not another yard of gravel was sold off that place. You know, my husband helped with exploring that gravel, getting that ready for Fisher Sand and Gravel. You know, and he was on, the tube that connects air to your lungs the last 2 years of his life. So you're not going to feel the effects until it's mined. And, of course, I do appreciate good roads too. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the commissioners. But you're talking about the safety and health of you're citizens of Dunn County, and not just those 7 families. So 7 families are going to be exposed to this. So one family can have a financial benefit who doesn't live in that area. I mean, we all want safe roads. We're all concerned about our kids on buses. Ask the state if it's safe for kids to ride on buses where you have put ground aeronite on the roads. Ask them that.
My family too would have been able to have money off of a gravel pit.
Can you talk into the mic better, please?
My family too would have been able to have an income off of a gravel pit, but they had to make up their mind what was good for them or good for the community. And he chose what was good for the community, and he had it sealed up and all the roads that happened to be on, if any. So my family made the right choice to make sure that the community would be safe.
And I just want to remind you again, from your road superintendent, that those samples tested positive for aeronite. Okay?
Any other discussion or questions?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of chime in here for a bit. A few things like the prior senator just noticed or just stated there that when the gravel wears out, we put more gravel on. And as of right now, we've been able to do that. But gravel is becoming a thing where we definitely need it to sustain the roads. I do want to say it's not just a benefit for, say, Bangs. This wouldn't be just a benefit for them, but for anybody driving the roads. At some point, sometime in the future down here, hopefully we can kind of figure something else out. Because as long as we're driving on the roads, as long as we're plowing the roads, as long as we're using the roads, we're going to need gravel. So it's just not going to all of a sudden just stay there for eternity. I do understand the concerns, as you pointed out, with the aeronite. There has been tests. I do want to say, though, that there's, if you read the verbiage, there's may cause and may things like that. There's not really a defined case that it says specifically not. In this case, and I will also say, he also said that pretty much the state's being very cautious because there's nothing to prove that it doesn't. So they're just being cautious in this. As far as the deal, as I stated before, yeah, we couldn't use it on DOT projects because it is prohibited through them. And as you stated, within that 7-mile radius, it wouldn't be. But again, there's still gravel piles everywhere. That's on every road that's been used. The oil field uses gravel heavily all over the place. It still has it as well. It's really close to the pit we're trying to get here. So with that understanding, I know kind of where we're at. But in my stance, I like to take care of the roads. So that's where I sit.
Fisher Industries did say they would water the gravel before it's crushed. So there'll be dust control. They won't be crushing when the wind's blowing. Did I forget anything else, David?
They said that they would, for example, crush only when school is going on. So they would shut down for the weekends and in the late afternoons when they're at home. So,
Mr. Chairman, David, was there, I'm trying to remember back when we talked about this before, about crushing the gravel away down in a valley or away from the mining site?
That'll happen as well on the very
Is that right?
there's also what we talked about. There's a valley down there when we met with Fisher. And yeah, they're more than willing to move the pile from the top of the hill down into a little valley to lessen the exposure for, winds or whatever blowing places. So kind of get it off of that hilltop there.
And that would be watered?
When they're crushing, yes.
I just want to say that there is gravel in Dunn County to purchase. At the last one or two meetings, I heard someone say he has a lot of gravel to sell, and maybe it's a few cents higher than what you want to pay, but it isn't going to kill people. You're not killing your own Dunn County residents. You can't make this a light issue. They say do not use this. The Department of Transportation, the state. Why do you think they say that? They say that because it can kill people. The tests were positive. So you're making a determination that maybe, but you're playing with the lives of all these people, primarily the 5 families, the 7 families, the children in these families, and the children that are on the buses or in the cars, or the people that are driving on these roads. I mean, I can't understand it even being a choice. I can't understand you willing to risk people's lives when you're told, and you're told it's positive. I just have to say, are any of you familiar with Libby, Montana? Libby, Montana was a mine in Montana. It was open for 30 years. It operated for 30 years before they realized there was an issue there. They were mining asbestos, which is a first cousin to aeronite. They're both zeolite character. It operated 30 years and killed thousands of people before they shut the mine down. And the state of Montana was fined, I think, $250 million because they failed to provide adequate information and adequate protection to safeguard the health and the welfare of the people of Montana. It cost our county, Dunn County, through federal funds, $2 million to clean up the pit, to spray the pit, to spray the gravel, to spray the roads. I don't know how many of you can remember it. I know Bob can because he was on the commission. Okay, so $2 million. And that was in 2007, 2008. So then the rules are put in place. And then every so often, you get a request to open this pit up again. So it's presented to you again. The Department of, I can repeat this, but what I'm saying is true. What I'm saying is true. So here we are, 15 years later, and you're thinking of opening this pit? Somebody tell me why this is okay.
I'm sorry, Quintana, did you have something you wanted to say?
I'm Quintana Lisseth. I'm one of the families that would be living by it. And
They can't hear you on.
if this is approved, me and my family will be forced to breathe in this air. My daughter, who is a main concern, all my kids are concerns, but my daughter, Cadence Linseth, has what's called Soto syndrome, who is prone to upper respiratory infections. I did not choose that she had Soto syndrome. I didn't choose that. I didn't choose this for us. But you will be forcing us to have to breathe in this air and live by it and not choose that when we do have a choice right now. And our rights, I understand your property rights, But we as humans have rights to breathe in clean air. And my daughter can't be here to tell you that. I am her voice. We will be forced to live by it. And I don't know why everybody thinks it's so safe. It says right here how unhealthy it is. And then I have a daughter who is more prone to upper respiratory infections. And I try my best to take care of her and do what I can to make sure nothing happens to her and my other kids. But she is the one born with Soto syndrome. That's like me walking in here and I'm smoking and you guys are all forced to, but they got rid of that. That we don't have to sit in restaurants or sit in here and smell that secondhand smoke. They helped improve the health and safety of their community. I don't have anything against this family that wants to put in the gravel pit, but this is a huge concern, the aeronite, for me and all our families. And my daughter, who is prone to upper respiratory infections because she has Soto syndrome. I didn't choose that. So what are my choices and my rights as a human to breathe in clean air? And I enjoy our property rights, but I think our health needs to come next. What are you going to say if something happens to her and this goes through and I lose my daughter, I lose my kid? What are you going to tell me? Sorry? That can't bring her back. This is what I deal with. I deal with more. I don't know.
I told you this gravel pit on the North Mountain, that was in operation maybe 6 years before it was tested. Libby, Montana operated for 30 years before they started seeing the effects of aeronite exposure. They're still feeling the effects of aeronite exposure, even after they shut it down, I think in 2006, because it stays then, these aeronite fibers, after it's disturbed, it stays. You probably read on the news, heard on the news that Burlington Northern Railroad is being sued because their train goes through this area and they're saying there is still fibers in this soil, that are being kicked up. People, this is 40 years after, people are still dying from the effects of this exposure to the zeolite material.
Any more questions or comments?
Well, I think yes.
Yes. Yeah, if you want to speak into the mic.
You know, there's a lot of emotion here, but I go back to my history lesson again. 76 years. Nobody was afflicted by so-called aeronite, which was in the air all the time because the farmers and ranchers broke up the land and gravel was put on roads and everything. Yes, we'll be getting some royalties here. It's not a make us or break us. It will help my son and his wife. They chose to stay in this community and ranch. Overhead costs for ranching are very high. Cost of living is very high. I just hope that the commissioners will take a real good look at this and set a precedent where we do not have to be afraid of everything we do. Fear factor will kill us. And that's what's going on right here. Thank you.
Again, I remind you, aeronite is perfectly safe as long as it's not disturbed.
Okay.
Of course, we all live down here. It's perfectly safe as long as it's not disturbed. That's why they tell you when it's disturbed is when this causes it, okay? So, of course, we all lived here. But they disturbed that rock in that mountain probably 6 years before they condemned it. That hasn't been there 75 years. We didn't break those rocks up for 75 years. Farming doesn't begin to compare, as you know, to mining a gravel pit. There's no comparison.
Any other questions?
Rich, do you remember what, back when we were working with this internet thing, what was the final decision back then? I don't remember. I mean, we were at probably 8-10 meetings, and it was just back and forth. But was there any final decision on that? Do you remember? I don't either.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah. I mean, this tested negative at the level that they say is supposed to be harmful. I mean, I think we can test every gravel pile we got in Dunn County, and we're going to find them in Newt level.
Yeah.
We have how many pits that we've dug in that 7 mile area in the last 10 years? That's all been out and on these roads, and it's probably at the same level this is at. But I mean, if we're going to shut this down, then we're going to have to test every pit that we ever plan on putting in. And if we find a trace, we're done. I mean, so
All gravel
I
in
think
North
we gotta-
Dakota has a small percentage in.
But this red area is the highly concentrated area.
and we've done a lot of pits in that area.
So
I don't, has anybody come to you before? This is what I'm told. This is what I'm reading. You're exposing families to a deadly environmental cancer.
I do have a quick question. I do want to thank you for all the research you did and all the information you brought us. Do you have any research of or information of cases that it has caused in this area?
I will tell you, my husband worked close with that pit. He spent the last 2 years on an air tube connected to oxygen. He couldn't walk across the room.
Was it proven to be arenite?
Your doctor will not test you for aronite. Your doctor's going to test you for your lungs and for lung cancer and for lung. He's not going to say, oh, unless you tell him, I imagine. People in this area don't go into their doctor. For one thing, we're all very private. We don't go into their doctor and we don't say, can you test me for aronite? Aronite exposure? Because most people in this area are not even aware of aronite. They're not even, we live very private lives. Everybody's busy. People are not aware.
So you don't have, the state or anybody doesn't have proven cases of it?
It's right here.
Yeah, she mentioned it last time.
It's in here.
Said several 38 people went in for
34
testing.
people that volunteered for testing, just people around there. And people that worked in the mines. 2 of them. And that was just after being exposed to 6 or 7 years of it. 2 of them tested positive and it was a horrendous test. It wasn't just an x-ray. They had many, many tests. 2 of those people already showed the effects of aronite and the start of mesothelioma. Once you're symptomatic, there's no turning back.
I guess
You die.
do you know what pamphlet that's in? Because I did not see that.
It was, I said, I might have it.
But it was closer.
You guys, anybody see it?
Page 3 at the top, or right next to
Page 3 of, which one of my notes?
the area night.
You know, Mr. Bain talked about him wanting his family to continue on, and these funds will help him. What about my family continuing on without medical issues? And I feel like as you move forward with your gravel pits, maybe this is something you guys should be doing, because it will help your community in the long run. If it is tested and shows, and there's document after document after document from state levels that this is harmful, this will kill you, why not relocate to a different area that doesn't have it? I would make this more mandatory for your gravel pits that you do take. It's a step in making your community healthier too in the long run.
Did you find it where it says that?
It says, yeah, the study was done on the state of North Dakota. It does not say this red dot. I don't know where.
No, you know, it's there.
It says in there.
It's there, Commissioner Wiener.
Yeah, it does. The study looked at 34 individuals, and concurrently a statistical analysis was done on mesothelioma rates in North Dakota.
This, you know, you don't need to do testing in all of North Dakota. You need to just test if the red areas are highly concentration of, there is no safe amount. But the ones that are going to be living around it, where this is going to be used, are going to be the ones that are most exposed, are going to have detrimental health effects. Did you find where it says 34 were tested and two already showed?
I didn't see anything about 2. It says 34.
No, did you see the 34?
Yeah, but it says North Dakota. It doesn't say that area.
But then it tells you where the areas are in North Dakota. And the maps there, you know, there's so much information that they've got on this area. It's got the maps there. The maps show you where in North Dakota.
Not with that study, but on other pages there's maps. I don't know if that's where the tests were done. It doesn't say.
The maps show you. Oh, sorry. Okay. These are the maps. And then the map here. It tells, do not use material from aggregated sources located in the following areas. In Dunn County, within the 7-mile radius from the center of section 16. And then it says, exclusion radius, where no gravel should be mined. It is saying no gravel should be mined in this area because the tests in this area show all positive for arenite. I 2 questions. Did you check to see you're using federal and state funds specifically targeted for your roads? Okay?
It goes on
County
per
road.
project. So if we
Isn't a road project?
if we receive federal funding for First Street example, then that's where it would apply. We're receiving federal money directly for First Street.
Is
that
it
direct project.
specifically, do you have the specific First Street, and they say First Street, or is it a sum of money you get?
No, it's per project. We apply for funding if we applied for funding for a specific road project. We're not using federal.
Okay, so
funding.
you're constructing.
David,
So an example of that would be, I'll just give an example. We just went through 108M. We're receiving federal funds for that bridge project. We would not be able to use it at that project, but not as an entirety. It's just the project specific. So any other project, say 92nd, we're trying to get federal funds for that. That would be that case too. It's just if the federal funds are used for that project.
It's harmful. And the government does not want you to do something harmful.
is there any more comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, can I go back to when the pit was closed initially and there was money spent to water? I'm not even sure. So does anybody recall when that, I don't know, was that part of when you were commissioner, when that pit was
The
closed?
commission or the county never had anything to do with that White Rock on the mountain. As far as I know, that was an open up pit by individuals.
But my question is, do you recall when it was closed and for the reasons it was closed? Was it closed because of the aeronite and then there was money spent to
Yes.
water it or whatever?
Yeah,
So
that was the reason it was closed, is because of the people that were talking about the aeronite or were saying there was aeronite there.
Okay.
And the money that was spent there, I don't know who did that. I really don't, because I don't think the county was involved in that at all.
Well, it was the county. The county brought the issue before the county commission. They studied it. You, Commissioner Farabee, and I think Tim Steffen was on the commission at that time. And you got together with the state authorities, the environmental science from the UND, and the Environmental Protection Agency, and came up with how to address this. And the county commission voted to work with the state and the feds to spray these roads, and to seal this so that it wouldn't cause health problems to the citizens of Dunn County. And they did. They sprayed the roads, and it was estimated at that time it would be $2 million, but they said they felt it would be good for 10 years. So that's been sealed. That area's been sealed. So here we are, 15 years later. You want to reopen this pit?
Tracy, do you remember, were you in there as auditor? No, you wouldn't have been yet. I don't know if the county had anything to do with that gravel. I don't think we put it on any roads.
Lisa.
2014, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were involved in the gravel, crushing it and stuff?
No, not crushing it.
Yeah, as far as closing it down and all that, right. But as far as we did not open that pit up.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember all that part, but I'm trying to think if the county, when that pit was opened up, I don't think the county had anything to do with it.
Right, but my question is, if the county decided back in 2014 to shut it down and then was involved in trying to seal it, I have to agree, why is the county now wanting to open it up when we went through this process, determined problem, and now the county wants to change their mind?
It was not, to my understanding, that was not a county pit.
I know. I understand that.
It is a different pit.
This is a different
I
pit.
understand that.
In the county, I had somebody, Ross had asked me about this, if there was a motion, and I nobody's brought forth a motion that says those commissioners said you cannot use that gravel on that mountain within that area. So there's no motion that says that, to my knowledge. Nobody's brought forth a motion that says that commission at that time made a motion to that no mining can be done within that area. No, I'm talking about a motion directly from that commission back in that time.
That pit was opened by Fisher Sand and Gravel. My uncle owned that mountain. When they came out and tested, the county became very involved. I don't know if there was I've got a newspaper article at home that talks about it at the time.
I'm talking about a motion directly from the commission that says, from what we've gathered, we're making a motion that you will not be able to mine gravel within that area, that red area. But there is not one out there that I could find.
Mr. Chairman, when Bill Bowman and I spent a lot of time, we were on that board down there, and we were pretty much told to not use it. And that's the reason we just kind of backed off on using the mountain gravel. And the thing about the gravel that was up on the top, that white rock, is a different gravel than the stuff down below.
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a volcanic, and it is, that is what that gravel is. That is what that gravel is. And you can see rocks. You can go by the kids' ranch, and you can see those rocks up on the hill. Those were tested. That they have tested the whole area, and they have determined which areas contain the arenite in the strongest forms. Those white rocks that you see, the white rocks you see on the Bang property, they all belong to the same zeolite family. They're all highly suspect of arenite. It has been tested now, I believe, like 3 times. I can't remember when Trotter's Construction wanted to open that pit. They paid the family a year's lease to lease that property. Bill never turned a shovel on that property after talking to the state office.
Okay. I do apologize. We got to keep things moving here. If there any other questions?
Commissioners, how about a workaround with you can dig the rock out for the gravel pit and then haul the gravel over to Bang's property on the backside of the mountain within a quarter mile of their homes and crush the gravel there? I think that'd be a win-win. It's not getting crushed within the 7 families in the area, and Bangs are getting their gravel. And as Terrell stated earlier, he's not worried about the health effects.
Can you state your name, please?
This is Madison Chin.
Oh, okay. Madison?
Yes.
That
would be a workaround where it could be dug up and hauled away to be crushed while the land's still sprayed, still the rules that you were going to have in place during school hours only, and then it's crushed away, and it gives these families a peace of mind, and Bangs aren't worried about the health effects, and they get their gravel. County wins too.
Except the state says, do not disrupt this. Do not disrupt this. Even disrupting.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? We do have to make a decision one way or the other as far as planning and zoning part of it. Is there entertain a motion to approve or deny it?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to deny the CUP for the gravel pit.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Marsh, seconded by Commissioner Kleeman to deny the CUP on the Bang gravel pit. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Marsh?
Yes.
Commissioner Dalzell?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton?
No.
Commissioner Kleeman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beener?
No. Motion carried though. Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Okay.
hearing us. I appreciate you. I do appreciate you all. And I
Thank you
certainly
for coming.
appreciate the road crew. Thank you so much.
Shasta and Mike, are you guys ready?
Did email these.
Killed another tree.
What's that?
Killed another tree for us.
I did email.
You get a printer, so she just
Oh,
look at the pile.
Thank you.
Shasta. Greetings.
Yep. If you guys want to, you want to kind of give a little brief summary? I think we can go.
Okay. Commissioners, we're here representing the Dunn County Water Resource Board. We've recently been reactivated, and we've been tasked with getting some of our Dunn County dollars back into Dunn County. We can do that by utilizing the Soil Conservation District, some of their programs that are already in place. The Water Resource Board has been basically inactive for a number of years. In order to get some of these programs going, we're here to request funding to help the Soil Conservation District and the NRCS with water quality issues in Dunn County. I'm going to turn this over to Shasta. She's more familiar with the programs that are in place. And yeah, go ahead.
thank you for having us today. I gave you guys a few spreadsheets. So these are my programs that the one that's stapled is my phase 1 of my 319 program, which some of you might be familiar with, is our Spring Creek Watershed program. These are funds that and projects that are completed and paid. So you can see the need for like livestock facilities for our producers. Each block is each producer, so we have a handful in that. And then the next spreadsheet is what we currently have. Majority of my money is already allocated to producers, and so I only have about $20,000 left in that fund. But the problem that we're having with this is our Spring Creek watershed, we only can use those funds in a certain amount of area in Dunn County. Well, thank you.
You said 1 o'clock.
I didn't think you were coming, so I'm sorry. Anyways, so our Spring Creek watershed is only in a certain area in Dunn County. We did discuss with the state of North Dakota to move our watershed up to the next one, which is the Lake Ilo. I have been testing those waters, so we could move forward to that. What I've been seeing majority in my office is producers in all of Dunn County. So our goal today is to get the funding to be able to help all the producers in agriculture for the entire county of Dunn County. You'll see that on that front page, there's the practices that are available that we use is a fence, livestock pumping plants, pipeline, tank, and wells, cover crops, rangeland, pasture plantings, and hayland plantings. Here's an example that we used that they signed up for our EQIP program, which is through our NRCS. This was a young producer that did not qualify because he didn't have enough points. His project alone was about $72,000. So that's why our request for the $500,000 is high, is because wells alone is we project to be about $20,000 alone. So today we're requesting the $500,000 for the board to help improve the water quality in Dunn County to all the producers in Dunn County with the technical support of the NRCS.
And this is a cost share program, so the producer does have skin in the game. We'd be supplementing 60% of project costs, and then the producer would have to come up with 40%.
We'll follow all the same rules as the 319 program, so we're not going to let them run with scissors. We'll have our rules. One thing that is big in Dunn County is our cultural resources. So the board did decide that they would like to 100% cost share that for the producer, because that could be a hefty bill for people, and it could determine whether they even wanted to go through the project, because they'll still have to foot the bill even if they can't go along with the program.
And this would also include the 60-40 cost share of employee wages, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, Shasta, so where did you receive the funds for your 219 program? Where do those actually come out of?
They come from the state of North Dakota, the DEQ. Yeah. A lot of that is through the Outdoor Heritage funding.
Okay.
Are these funds only going to be available to the people that don't qualify for the other funds?
No, they will be available. There will be no double dipping, if that's kind of what we have, numerous programs where we do pay attention to that, where if, if say you wanted a well, or we qualify you and pay you for a tank in this section, well, we're not going to use that to get you another tank in that section.
And they're identically the same, so it's not like somebody's going to want to apply for one because it's a simpler process than the other.
And I mean, hopefully they take the other. If you have money out of the other one, you take that first.
Yes. So I still have the money left in the Spring Creek. So if the people that applied for this are still in my Spring Creek, I will use that money up first.
Because this is for all of Dunn County, not just a certain watershed.
Correct. And my other program, it's the Bakken Working Lands program. It's through the North Dakota State Trust. We've been out of money with that for quite a while, but I still have open contracts in that.
So Shasta, or Water Resource Board, so how are you going to monitor the funding?
Shasta is going to be our admin on this through the NRCS or SCD, but NRCS will also be there for technical help. Shasta is going to be providing us with reports quarterly on project completions and status, and and board approval, correct. This is a pilot program for us. We did have our first meeting a couple months ago, and the Mercer County Water Resource Board member was there, and it kind of opened our eyes as to everything that other counties are doing with their water resource board, and we're kind of stagnant. So this is the 319 program is a pilot program for us to get started. There's a lot we can do, and this is a good way to get us rolling.
The soil conservation, their board reviews every application too.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we go ahead and provide them with the $500,000 to get started.
There a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Pelton, seconded by Commissioner Dalzell to approve $500,000 to the Water Resource Board for the Dunn County Watershed Program. Is there any discussion? Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just quick a point. The property tax measure we were talking about earlier, if that were to pass, something like this wouldn't be possible if we go ahead and improve it. We would not be able to do these kind of things for our residents.
So be an advocate against that.
Is there any other discussion?
Shasta, so as far as getting this information out to residents?
We do a quarterly newsletter, which I have been holding off on my newsletter just because I wanted us to get to the point of this. So I am preparing for that. For the watershed, I am supposed to hold, or I do hold yearly, kind of like a coffee talk, which, you know, I invite everybody in and then just go over projects. With this, you know, being available to the entire Dunn County, we'll probably just stick with mail.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Marsh?
Yes.
Commissioner Dalzell?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kleeman?
Yes.
Commissioner Biener?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Commissioner.
What were you here for, Russ?
Moral support.
Yeah, thanks for showing up.
I thought you were going to say for the looks.
I have to make my daily meeting, so we got tomorrow too yet.
You can stick around by lunch.
Okay, we got vouchers and the bank statement.
Financial? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so last week we weren't quite ready to present the financials for March. For the ending balances, we're looking at in Revere Bank roughly 51 million. First International Treasurer and Payroll, about $1.5 million. Then with our Bravera DDM account, which is our sweep account, roughly within 1 year, we've earned $225,000 of interest. So that's a really good account that's working very well. And we can take, the good thing about that versus CDs is we can take that money, take it in and out anytime we want, and we're still earning a high interest on it. With our CDs account, we're at 60 million. So roughly for ending March balances, we're at 131 million.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I kind of went through these while everybody was talking, so I'll make a motion to approve the voucher.
There a second? Motion made by Commissioner Kleeman, seconded by Commissioner Pelton to approve the vouchers. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Marsh?
You're gonna have to give me a minute.
Okay.
Sorry.
17.
Just days. Board meeting's tomorrow morning.
Minutes.
Oh, that's it.
Yes. Commissioner Dolzo?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kleeman?
Yes
Yep.
or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Beener?
Yes. Motion approved. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll do.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cleveland, seconded by Commissioner Dolzo to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.